Hey everybody, welcome back. So we're going to continue on Foundation. Seems we're about 26% of the way through. This is going to be Git Basics, I believe. Okay, in this lesson, you'll cover the common Git commands used to manage your projects and to upload your work onto GitHub. We refer to these commands as the basic Git workflow. When you're using Git, there are commands that you'll use 70 to 80% of the time. So if you can get these down, you'll be more than halfway done with mastering Git. Lesson overview. This section contains a general overview of topics that you will learn in this lesson. How to create a repository on GitHub, how to get files to and from GitHub, and how to take snapshots of your code. And then, so here's the assignment. Cool, it looks like we're starting off with an assignment. GitHub recently updated the way it names its default branch. This means you need to make sure you are using a recent version of GitHub. You can check this version by running git ---- version. Cool, so with this one, I'm going to open up a terminal. And then press 9 times Command plus to make my font appear larger. And here we can just start with this. So git ---- version. Okay, so we're on 2.3.7. They say means you need to make sure you are using a recent version of Git, 2.287 or later. Okay, so I'm at 2.37, so I'm good. If you haven't already set your local default Git branch to main, you can do so by running git config global init main. I don't know how to know if I set it, but we can just run this command and that'll make it so we set it to main. No response oftentimes in command line means that it's working. For information on the change from master to main, see renaming repository. Okay, while we're waiting for that to load, our next step will be to create a thing. Renaming the default branch from master. Many communities, both on GitHub and the wider Git community, are considering renaming the default branch from master. GitHub is generally renaming the default branch from our own repository master to main. We're committed to making the renaming process as seamless as possible. We've already changed. Okay, I don't care why they did that. Create a new repository. You should have already created a GitHub account and setting up Git. If you haven't done that yet, you want to go back. Create a new repository by clicking the button shown on the screen below. Cool. So I'm just going to leave that here, and now I'm just going to go to github.com/ and this is my spot. Okay. Oh, I went to a project. And here we are. So we can click here, new repository. Create a new repository by clicking the button shown there. New repository. Give your repository the name Git Test. Git Test. In the repository name, click Add a README. Add a README. Click Create Repository. Testing for the Odin Project, and it's not letting me go in. Git test. Select the owner. Now if you have multiple groups that you work with, then you have to select the owner, but you guys probably might not need to do that. And then we go create repository. So now we have git test. This is testing for the Odin project. And yeah, you will redirect to your new GitHub repository. To get ready to copy or clone this repository onto your local machine, click the green code button, then select SSH option and copy the line. So here we go here. Click SSH and then copy this line. Let's use the command line on your local machine to create a new directory for all your Odin project stuff. So right now if I go ls, I'm in the root. So I'm going to change this to my desktop. And now I can list there. I've only got 2 folders on my desktop right now, life and useful programmer. Let's use the command line on your local machine to create a new repository. Create a directory called repos with make dir command. Make dir repos. In your home folder. Command in your home folder. If you're not sure if you're in your home folder, type cd there. Now I'm going to do it to my desktop. I don't like putting things in my home folder. Once it's made, move into it with the repos. So cd, and then I type out repos, and then I just hit tab to auto fill it. Cool. So now I should be in repos, which is an empty folder. Oh, no, okay. So they're saying that we're making it, if you go pwd, you can see where you are. So on the desktop, I have a folder called repos, And now we're going to clone this project. I still have it copied in there. Now it's time to git clone the following URL. So git clone, yeah. So git clone, and then because we copied it, it's already there. You can see it says username here and then repository name. So we've switched to that out for username and repository name. If your URL looks like you have selected the HTTP option. Yeah, so if you have this HTTPS, you have to go back up here and change from this guy to this guy, or from this HTTPS to SSH. Okay, that's it. You have successfully connected your repo. Oh, I press enter here. And this is the test to see if the previous setting up Git lesson worked. All right, you have successfully connected the repository you created on GitHub to your local machine. To test this, you can cd into the new Git tester folder. So there we go. We have Git ls to list out the files, and then Git test. That's a folder that's there, right? And so we can see that if you were to just do it naturally like this, Git test is there. And the README that we created on GitHub is there as well. So if I were to go to cat git test README, that shows us testing for the Odin project. That's what we actually put in over here, testing for the Odin project. So now we're locally accessing this device. The name origin is both the default and the convention. Oh, okay. This will display. Okay, that's it. We've successfully collected it. Let's test it, change directories into it. Now we can go git remote-v. Okay, we need to change directories into the git test. And then, now that we've changed the directories to get in there to git test, we can do git remote-v. And that will tell us our remote branch names for push and fetch. This will display the URL of your repository created on GitHub, which is the remote for your local copy. You may have also noticed that the word origin at the start of them. Origin here. In both default and convention for the remote repository. But it could have been just as easily as named Parody Pop Parrot or Dancing Banana. Don't worry about the details of origin now. It will come up again near the end of the tutorial. So now we want to use the Git workflow. So create a new test file in Git test folder called helloworld.txt. So if we go pwd, we see we're in our Git test folder. And so what we can do is go touch hello world.txt. And now, if we were to list what's in there, we see we've got hello world as well as the README. And now we can do git status. So here we can say git status hello world, and it's in red, which helps us to know that it's not staged. Your terminal. Notice that the hello world text file is in red, which means that it is not staged. Ha, got it. Type git add hello world text. So yeah, we can say git add, and then we say hello. Okay, I'm gonna raise this up a little bit. Just gonna do it right to here. Git add hello world. Okay, cool. And now if we go git status, it shows in green and it says changes to be committed. So now what's your staged? Your branch is up to date with origin main. That's their origin part, main branch. And there you go. So now we have staged our file. Okay, so next step. Git commit -m, add hello world text, and then type the git status once more. The output should say nothing to commit working tree. Okay, cool. So what it's saying is git commit, and then -m is a flag for saying message. And so we're going to go add hello world. Man, I always type hello world wrong. .txt. And then what does that do? Normally we could just do git commit, but adding, it's a good habit to add a message in, and you'll see why in the future. Okay, cool. And now I think it says git status, and we'll see we have nothing to commit. Your branch is ahead of origin main by 1 commit. Okay. Don't worry if you get a message that says upstream is gone. This is normal and only shows up once you've cloned the repository. Currently has no branches. It will be resolved once you have followed of the rest of the steps of the project. The message, your branch is ahead of origin main by 1 commit, just means that you have you have newer snapshots than what is on your remote repository. You will be uploading your snapshots further down in the lesson. So now we're going to type in git log. Okay, cool. And I'm just going to actually make this a little smaller so it fits better. Nope. Okay, cool. Git log. And look at the output. You should see an entry for hello world.txt. So here we go, hello world.txt. And you will also see details on the author who made the commit and the date and time of when the commit was made. So that was me and the time of day. If your terminal is stuck on the screen with end at the bottom, just press Q to escape. You may configure settings for this later, but don't worry about it too much for now. Okay, so let's modify a file or two. So here we can say, open the README in your text editor of choice. In this example, we will open the directory in Visual Studio Code by using the command code period. So this we set up earlier. And so this should open up Visual Studio Code. If your terminal reads command not found code, you must go back to the command line basics. So we did do the command line basics, and so therefore it knew what to do, open up. And then let's see here. Add hello Odin to line 3 of the README. Line 3 of the README. Hello Odin. Useful programmer. Cool. So I added that and I saved it. So it's important to press Control S or Command S. You can also go there if you need to. And then you want to go back in your terminal or in the fancy built-in terminal in Virtual Studio Code. Yeah, let's do that. Oh, I want to get rid of that. So I'm going to press Command J, and that brings up my terminal in here. And now we can go get status, and we see we've got readme.md. Add the readme to the staging with git add readme. So there's two ways you could do this. You could say git add readme, or you can just say git add everything. I usually do git add everything just because it's shorter than readme. Everything is just a simple dot. Can you guess what the git status now? Git status, it's going to be green, right? Because it'll have the modified, it does that when you're staging commits. It was displayed in green. That means it has been added to the staging area. The file hello world.txt will not show up because it has not been modified since it was committed. Right. So open hello world.txt. You can do that by just using this one. Add some text into it and save the state. This is a hello, a greeting, a message. Cool, so I saved that, then type status again. So git status, boom. We see now we have another unstaged edit. And so this is why you can make different changes to different files. And this is a great little walkthrough on how to do this. I wish I would have had this early in my coding career. Finally, let's commit all the files in the staging area and add a descriptive to them. Okay, if we're at git status right there, so we have one that's off. So it says let's commit all the files. So right now, git status tells us that we have one staged and one not. So we want to say git add hello world. And now when we do git status, we should have both of them on the staged commit log. Okay. Once again, you'll see nothing to commit. Oh. Add a descriptive message. Yeah, git commit -m edit readme and hello world. So this is just a message that we'll be able to check out later. So yeah, 2 files changed, 2 insertions. 2 files changed, 2 insertions. And now if we go to git status, we'll say your branch is behind by 2 commits. Take one last look at the commit history by typing git log. Git log. So now we see we've got our edit world and our hello text. Okay, push your work. Okay, so this is all locally done, right? But if we were to go back to GitHub and we test here, if we refresh the page, the README is still the way it is. So we haven't updated our GitHub code, but locally, if we look here, we have hello world with some text in it and a README that has hello Odin in it. This README does not have that in it yet. And so that's what we're going to do now. So we're going to try to publish from our local repository to GitHub. So yeah, we're going to type git push. And you can either do git push or git push origin main. For this one, I always just do git push in the beginning. Once you get more experience with this, you'll learn more about where you want to push to. So since you're not dealing with another branch other than main or a different remote, as mentioned above, you can leave it as git push to save a few keystrokes. Note, if at this point you receive a message that says support for password authentication, you have followed the steps incorrectly and cloned with HTTPS and not SSH. Please follow these steps to change them. Okay. But it looks like we don't have that problem. So now we can do git status. And whereas up here it said you're ahead of branch by 1 commit, now you say your branch is up to date with the origin. Cool. When you reload the repository on GitHub, so when we come over to GitHub, and if we refresh the page here, Command R, we see now our hello world text is in there, and we have this little message that we typed in via our code. And so this is how we push code up to GitHub. What a great little descriptive course on how to do that. This is excellent. Note, warning, when trying to make simple changes to your files in your repo, such as attempting to fix a typo in your README, you might be tempted to make this change directly via GitHub. However, it is best to avoid this as it will cause issues that require more advanced Git knowledge that we want to go over at this stage. It is covered in a future lesson. For now, it is advised to make any changes via your local files and then commit your push, then them using git commands in your terminal once ready. Cool. So then they give you a cheat sheet. This is reference the most common git commands. You might consider bookmarking this if handy. Now, this is all stuff, I'm not going to lie, you might as well just remember by practicing it and using it in real life. This was all, I don't know if you could tell by the way I was moving through that, but this was very just natural. This becomes committing and adding messages and stuff like that is very useful. Yeah, so program action destination, program action destination. Oh, that's helpful. Commands related to the repository, git clone, git push origin main, git add, so then you add the command to the workflow. Commit means you commit that. And then you have your git status and your git log to find out where you're at. And then the basic git command syntax is program, which is git, action, status, or commit, and then your destination. So this would be main. Is read git add dot, where the period represents everything. Is read as message. Yeah. Okay, cool. Git best practices. There's a lot to learn about using Git, but it is worth taking the time to highlight some best practices so that you can be a better collaborator. Git is not only helpful when collaborating with others, it's also useful when working independently. You'll be relying more and more on your own commit history in the future when revisiting old code. 2 helpful best practices to consider are atomic commits and leveraging those atomic commits to make your commit messages more useful to future collaborators. An atomic commit is a commit that includes changes related to only one feature or task of your program. There are 2 main reasons for doing this. First, if something you change turns out to cause some problems, it is easy to revert the specific change without losing other changes. And second, it enables you to write better commit messages. Changing the git commit message editor. If you are using Visual Studio's code, you should be if you're following this curriculum and you don't want to get stuck writing a commit message in Vim because you accidentally used git commit without the message -m flag. This command will make your Visual Studio Code open a new tab with the ability to write your commit message and an optional description below it. Oh, this is cool. I don't like Vim, probably just because I don't know how to use it. But I'm going to use this and type this into the terminal. And so, sweet. So now if I were to say, put parentheses around this, save that, git status, git add, git commit, and then instead of pressing -m, now, cool, it opens up Visual Studio Code for me to write a message. So here I would just write add comments, comment marks. Cool, save. Waiting for you to close the file, and once I close the file, then it's committed. Awesome. And so now if we were to come here, we refresh the page. Oh, now what we need to do is git push. But that made it so that Visual Studio can come up instead of Vim, which I think is pretty cool. Even though I almost always do -m and then do the message there. So, all right, there will be no confirmation for any output on the terminal after entering this command. To make a commit with Visual Studio Code as the text editor, you must be sure to do git commit command without the M and just type the commit and no message after that. Once you do this, a new tab will open up and you can write your message, the private information you want right below it. After typing your message, save it and exit the tab. With that out of the way, now you can choose to use either git commit -m or git commit and enter on the Visual Studio Code. Cool. This is why I like this stuff. I didn't really know that that was possible. I always just did -m. So this is a good little backup. Conclusion. You may not feel comfortable with Git at this point, which is normal. It's a skill that you will learn, become more comfortable with as you use it. The main thing to take away from this lesson is the basic workflow. The commands you've learned here are the ones you will be using most often with Git. Honestly, they're 80% of the game. Don't worry if you don't know what all the commands yet, or if they aren't quite sticking in your memory. They will soon be seared into your brain as you use them over and over again in future Odin projects. In later Git lessons, we will cover some of the more advanced Git features such as branches. They will further expand your abilities to make you more productive. For now, concentrate on using the basics of Git that you've learned here for all of your projects from now on. You will soon know each of the basic Git commands by memory. Okay, knowledge check. This section contains questions for you to check your understanding of the lesson on your own. If you're having trouble answering the question, click it and review the material. How do you create a new repository on GitHub? You go to the plus button here and you go new repository. How do you copy a repository onto your local machine? You click the code arrow and you click SSH and then you copy this one. What is the default name of your remote connection? Origin. Explain what origin is in git push origin main. I think it's the branch. No. I think it's a remote branch. Explain what main is in the GitHub. It's their it's the main branch, the main branch of the project. Explain the two-stage system that Git uses to save files. The two stages: first you stage a commit, and then you create a commit. That's the two stages. Stage and then commit, and then push. How do you check the status of your current repository? Git status. How do you add files to the staging area in Git? Git add and then the file path. How do you commit files in the staging area and add a descriptive one? Git commit -m whatever. How do you push changes? Git push. How do you look at history? Git logs. Git log. Yeah, there we go. This section contains helpful links to related content. All right, well that's it for Git Basics. I think this is a great one to go through if you're just learning Git. I wish I had something this clear when I was starting. So we'll mark that as complete and move on to the next lesson. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.